Welcome once again. We are here with the regular weekly hypnosis discussion group. My name is David Barron. I've been doing hypnosis since April. I've been doing it since 1999. So it's pretty amazing journey I've gone through here. Um, what we talk about every week, of course, is just some topic or topics hypnosis related. And this will be available on YouTube. And if you want to join the group here, you're certainly welcome to. Just send me an email and I'll put you on the list. Most of what I do here is available in my personal operations manual. I will give that away to anyone who contacts me and is willing to talk with me for a couple minutes so I can just sort of know who I'm sharing this with. And so I had two topics I wanted to discuss today. One of them is about what, for lack of a better term, is non-directed hypnosis. And the other is about hypnosis by changing identity. Non-directed hypnosis, there's a hypnotist named Carl Smith in the UK who does something very similar to this. It's basically, he doesn't even care what your problem is. He just wants you to know that you know the problem and that your subconscious mind is very powerful. And he puts you in a deep state of hypnosis and just instructs the subconscious mind to start making changes. Now, it's something I've been aware of. It's something I've only recently started to implement. I just recently, I was working with a fellow who has a fear of driving over bridges. And my first session with him, he got a really good response. The sort of ruminating thoughts and worries began to subside. He had one experience of driving up over a bridge and he felt anxiety, but on his return trip, it did not matter. And so that's a plus as far as I'm concerned. And what I did during the second session was the typical phobia cure, which is you walk into a theater and you have a screen in front of you, and there's several disassociating techniques where you can observe the going through the behavior in reverse order first, and then entering into the screen and experiencing it. And that has a serious way of rewiring the mind. Now, during this process, he responded incredibly well to that part. And then as we went past that part, there was a part where I began to speak to his subconscious mind, giving an instructions that is the non-directed part, which is create a process deep within the subconscious mind that you know will always be working to resolve this problem. And it will happen instantly, it will happen automatically, it will happen continuously, whether you're awake and whether you're aware of it or whether you're sleeping and dreaming. And you will notice it by a feeling that something is there. And those were my instructions to him. And then I did the exduction, the wake up, where I asked him to open his eyes only as quickly as he knew that this was in place. And it took a while. He opened his eyes, but in no way was he out of hypnosis. He was like, his eyes were open, staring at some empty point in space. And so what do you do when someone is hypnosis? You just keep giving them suggestions. And I just say, even now with your eyes open, you notice this process is happening. You notice it's taking place. You'll feel it, and you'll feel it ongoingly and continuously. And so the end result was ultimately, I told him to now come all the way back, look around the room, take a deep breath, stretch. And his response was, that was just incredibly freaky. And and so I asked him to just notice what it feels like that that there's something always there working for you. And he could definitely feel something just present there all the time in the back of his mind. Now, this is, even though I've been doing this a long time, this is a relatively new experience for me. So I'm going to test it out and then ultimately put it in the operations manual when I have a few more positive experiences with this. What I've noticed is this is not, this is best done when someone is deep in hypnosis, not just light hypnosis, though you can get the process. But when you know that all of their attention is in their head, they have this economy of motion, which means they don't move. Maybe their eyes are rolled up in the back of their head and it's stationary. And when you know that their focus is on that. So that is a big plus because now there's no external awareness. It's all within their internal mind. So that's one thing. If you can get that kind of response on the first session, that's great. I think it's also a good recommendation to have them listen to whatever, even the most generic hypnosis recordings that you have, so that they can get familiar with the process. And I like to remind people, for a lot of people, hypnosis is a learned process. And it's something that you have to practice. And every time you do it more, you get very familiar with it and you can go further and further. So if anyone has an experience of using that type of non-directed hypnosis, I'm going to open this up, not now, but in a few moments, and we can talk about it. So make a few notes if you have some comments. Now, the other part of the hypnosis is about when changes happen at the level of identity, when you start to see yourself differently. If you think of someone who is trying to change a habit like quitting smoking, you can be very effective and have incredibly good results with what I do, create a very positive feeling that makes wanting a cigarette seem silly. And I can get some very good results with that. What I like to point out to most people is, as much as you want to change a behavior that you don't like, at the end of that change, you want to see yourself differently. And when you start to make this improved, upgraded version of yourself in your mind, you start to look back on old behaviors as if you may even look back on yourself with disgust that you ever did that. And so that does not have to happen in hypnosis. If you can get so angry at how you have been addicted to smoking, how you've been a procrastinator, if you can get so frustrated with yourself that you look back with almost shame and disgust that you used to do that, the change starts to happen really quick. And I have noticed, I've known a couple of people, a story of one person who smoked 2 packs a day. And he found himself in a location without his cigarettes. And so he started to walk back, and he knew he had to walk back at least half a mile to get his cigarettes. And as he started to walk, he just got angrier and angrier and more frustrated. And he just decided, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. And it was that sort of emotion that switched how he saw himself. And that is a part of the hypnosis process where I have them look back on themselves with old behavior, and just say, I'm not that person anymore. And I link some very positive feelings to that. If you want to, you can also link very negative feelings to this old version of yourself. I don't do that. I certainly could. But that sort of happens very naturally. And so those are the things I want to just sort of seed your minds with. I'm sure some of you have had some sort of experience when you're working with somebody, and you at least create a machine, a mental machine in their mind that it just keeps working. Alex, I see you nodding your head. You want to say something?
Yes, I was actually thinking that it sounds a bit like something that I did once with um, somebody I, somebody I knew, basically. Um, it was not the person I'm thinking of directly, but it was her sister who had a problem, and it was an ongoing problem. And I'm not going to say any further details, like naming names or something like that, because it's almost 20 years ago now. But she was about to get married, and the problem was very personal for the sister. But yeah, it sounded. Um, I only had the one session to be able to make any positive changes and differences to the sister. But what I did was I set it up so that the suggestion that I put in place was continuous, rolling, and ongoing. So it was constantly there because I knew that she needed something to sustain that suggestion even after I'd finished. So that's what I did. And basically, I got her to sleep on it because if you sleep on a suggestion, then your brain literally just sort of seals it over because once your brain has actually slept on a suggestion, it becomes more or less fixed. It becomes part of the brain. It lodges in the hippocampus, and that's where it keeps on just generating the same effect that I was after. And she got married, and I didn't hear any complaints from the sister at all, from what my friend had actually told me. But it was a referral sort of thing,
Yeah.
and that was what I did basically. So I had no idea that it was very similar to what you've just been describing. I mean, it was
Right.
just thinking on the fly, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's again, my experience in doing that is they they have to be very deep. If you're doing it one-on-one in person with them, I would do even uh, probably physical touch, perhaps touching them on the forehead or moving their body, because that creates an internal ear strangeness and causes them to focus even more internally if they're not subject to seasickness anyway. So that would create a really deep state, and then you can start helping them create that mechanism. You can call it whatever you like, a program, something that's always going to be operating there, you know, deep in the subconscious mind, unconsciously and always present. So that was good, very good, good result. All right, thank you much. Anyone else? Graham.
Yeah, I'm just been thinking about the idea of like the non-directed hypnosis. Was it Carl Smith that you said the chap's name was? Mike, have a look at it for it. Uh,
CarlSmithHypnosis.com. He's in the UK.
Carl Smith. Well, that name sounds familiar for some reason. I'll have to look at me one of my scratch pads. But anyway, digressing. What occurred to me is obviously like as you said, like it speaks to the subconscious part of the brain, and you say I want you to do this, that, and the other. How much sort of like steering and pointing in the general direction you want the subconscious to go would you need to do without getting too detailed and prescriptive with it?
Well, keep in mind, they have probably talked with you about what the problem is they want to
Mhm.
change. That's the first thing. And
Yeah.
so you can usually just refer to it as the problem.
Mhm.
Maybe you've also prescribed or talked about a solution. And for me, it would be a solution that has a very strong and positive emotion to it. So once you've done that, and that's my typical first session, you don't need to refer about to anything else when you're constructing that part of the inner mind. You just say, now take some time to create an ongoing process that will always be there, implementing these changes. so that you could always feel it if you wanted to focus in on it. But it's going to be there whether you're thinking about it or not, whether you're awake or whether you're sleeping. And so again, you're just referring to the problem.
So you're not actually giving any prescriptive technique for dealing with, like, say, your chap who's got a fear of driving over bridges. You let the subconscious find its own best coping method that's healthful and positive.
Well, keep in mind what I did with this person is I already started the process by doing the phobia cure, where he experiences freedom from anxiety in those situations. And then once that's created, get him in another deep state of hypnosis and make that process continuous. But when I've seen Carl Smith do, he hardly even cares what your problem is. He'll just say, now the subconscious mind's going to create a process in which this is the solution. I'm going to sit back, turn off the microphone, and he sips on his coffee while he's doing this, or his tea, and waits about 5-6 minutes and then brings them back, and the process is already there. So that's what I've seen him do. So again, I'm testing it out. I know it works. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was carlsmithhypnosis.com. Yeah.
Right. But just type in Carl Smith Hypnosis on YouTube. He has a huge amount of hypnosis, and you can see the processes he does with people too. Okay. All right. All right. Well. Thank you much. All right. Any other questions?
Might be worth mentioning it's Carl with a K.
Thank you. Carl with a K. That's correct. All right. Good. Peter, any questions or comments about this?
Just going back to your initial one when you were bringing the subject doing the exduction, and they said that they were kind of still hung in a partial state. I just recalled when I was in the training, you said, "Never waste a good trance."
Yeah, those words went right into my head too. I said,
"They did."
It's wide open. I heard those words. His eyes were wide open. I says, "Well, let's just keep going. This is great."
Never waste a good trance.
No, never waste a good hypnosis. All right. Okay. Thank you much, Peter. I appreciate it. All right. I hope this has been useful. Like I said, I'm certainly going to be testing this out, and I want you to take it and do whatever you want with it. Don't waste a good hypnosis. That's for sure. And let's see. Oh yeah, and what Alex just said is you can also just let the person know the subconscious mind does have the resources, and that's always a good part. Again, what I did is started to create them and then create a mechanism that makes it self-reinforcing. So yeah, very good. Okay, guys, thank you so much. We do this every week because you're here, you're not somewhere else. I appreciate you sacrificing the time to be here, and I deeply appreciate it. So let's get together again next week. Thank you so much.
And thank you, David. Thanks, and great weekend to everybody. Hope you get some nice weather.
Always a pleasure. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Take care.
Thanks, Alex.
You too, Carol. Peter.
Take care.
Thanks, Peter.
See ya.
Hello.